Hello and welcome to Module 9. In this module, we're going to be looking at different approaches to teaching reading in your classroom. All semester, we've been talking about different strategies and skills and activities that you can use within your classroom. But now we're going to take a step back and look at the literacy program, if you will, as a whole within your classroom. So you're going to look at some of the materials, some of the programmatic features of teaching literacy within your classroom. And the first thing you need to decide as a literacy educator is how do you want to approach teaching reading. And this chapter is addressing some of those different methods of teaching reading. And so we're going to talk about basals and anthologies. We're going to talk about literature-based approaches. We're going to talk about some more individualized reading approaches or reading workshops. We'll also talk about language experience approaches. We've talked a lot about, over the course of the semester, about meeting the needs of diverse learners, and so that language experience approach can really help everybody to feel connected to that literacy classroom. So let's go ahead and jump into Blackboard, and I'm going to chat about a few, there we go, I'm going to chat about a few things that we have going on in this module. As you can see, it is Chapter 11. You knew that already. You've got your objectives here covering those different approaches that I was just talking about. Okay, and as you get into Module 9, you have your same 3 activities as normal. You've got your discussion board, your quiz, and your project. Your discussion board prompt is focused on the multiple methods of reading instruction. And so I'm going to go ahead and move over there first before getting into what you have for the project. And I think it is valuable in this module to work on this discussion board first so that you're prepared as you get into some of the different methods throughout the chapter. All right, here we go. Discussion board 9 focuses on the multiple methods of teaching reading. I'm asking you to look at 3 different sources as and how they discuss the different methods of teaching reading. So I've given you the IRA position statement on using multiple methods within your classroom. You have your class text, the textbook that we're using this semester, and then you can also choose a source of your choice. And after looking at those 3 sources that are focused on teaching multiple methods, and what those multiple methods are, I'd like you to create your own position statement. Now certainly the IRA position statement is much longer than you need to do, but I would like you to write a 1 to 2 paragraph position statement that gives clear reasons and benefits for using multiple methods in the classroom, that briefly discusses those various methods of reading instruction that you're pulling from, and then specify how using multiple methods of reading instruction meet the needs of diverse learners. You can target this toward a specific age group, and I encourage you to do that. And the key here is that I want everything to be in your own words. There should be no quotes. Okay, you certainly can use those 3 sources, and you should as you develop your thinking, but everything should be in your words, and you can use those 3 sources as support and cite when you are using them. The idea here is that this position statement of yours can be incorporated into your philosophy of teaching literacy, which is one of your culminating assessments for this semester. So this will be a great chance for you to complete a piece of that and get some feedback from your peers. Okay, and so in your response to your classmates, certainly as usual, provide feedback on their position statement, but also provide one suggestion for improvement. Maybe they discussed several pieces of it, but there's one question that you still would like answered in that position statement. That feedback will be very valuable for your classmates as they work through their position statements and they're revising it for their philosophy of teaching literacy. Now certainly this isn't the whole philosophy of teaching literacy, but it will help with a piece of that. Okay, so you have that for your discussion board. All right, and let me head back over here. Okay, you've got your Chapter 11 quiz, just one chapter here. and then we're moving into chapter 11 with your project number 9. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about this chapter. The chapter, as I mentioned before, does a nice job covering those 4 main approaches. For each of those approaches, it gives benefits, it gives advantages and disadvantages. It also talks about the adaptations that you can make within your classroom in using that approach. Now, the IRA position statement that I was just discussing certainly will pull in the reasons for using multiple methods, and you'll see some parallels there between the chapter and their position statement. Okay, so as you're reading through those, really look to see how you could adapt to meet the needs of your diverse learners. I've been seeing in your discussion board posts and your projects throughout the semester that you're really doing a nice job applying this information to your particular classroom or future classroom that you know you're going to be working with. So definitely keep doing that here in this module. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into the project. The project for this one, you have, let me pull up the other one. Here we go. Okay, for the project here for chapter 11, you only have 4 activities, so that's pretty exciting. It is just on chapter 11, as I mentioned earlier. You have your key terms that you're looking at, the definition and description. Make sure that you're putting this all in your own words. Yes, you're going to tell me what this term means, and then also a brief description of it in term, from a literacy classroom perspective. And then in this last column, how will you apply this to your classroom? How could you use it within your classroom? And so if you're using a specific content area or a specific grade level, you can certainly mention that in your examples. Activity 2 works. It's a really good video here. Rick is the teacher, and he's doing a reading workshop, and it gives you a good view into how a reading workshop would look within a classroom. He uses guided reading. There's a lot of collaboration within the group, and he does a real nice job getting all the students involved. So as you're reading through, take some notes on the tips that you've learned from him that you could incorporate, as well as what feedback do you have, and you can link that to your own classroom there and how you might adapt things in your own classroom. Okay, activity 3 is focused on basals. Okay, basals over the years have gotten, especially in recent years, have gotten a bit of a bad rap because they're, it used to be that they weren't as individualized, or you couldn't individualize instruction as well. Certainly when I started teaching about 20 years ago, when we had a set of basals, it was, pretty much everybody had to do the same thing. There weren't a lot of adaptations that I could make or that were provided to me within the basal program, so I would have to do that all on my own. So over the years, however, they have improved basals in different anthologies to include a variety of formats, a variety of genres, as well as adaptations to meet the needs of diverse learners right there for you. So it's more of a complete, I don't want to say program, but a complete package, if you will, that you could pull from. So what I'd like you to do is, again, read the section in the textbook on basal readers, which you would have done anyway. You have a video clip here on using basal readers. I attached a journal article on using basal readers, and then you can choose a source. Okay, and then what I want you to do is give a 3 to 4 paragraph reflection using those 4 sources. Okay, now I'm not saying that everybody has to leave this class gung-ho on using basal readers in their classroom, but I do want you to really investigate this thoroughly so that you can make that informed decision as you go out into your classrooms. There are definitely pros and cons to them, as with every approach, but they do, going through these 4 sources here and working through this activity will help get a better understanding of what basals provide for literacy teachers and for students. And then this last activity is a text set activity. Okay, and this one is looking more at the literature-based approach. So if you whether you're creating a thematic unit or a unit that is focused on a certain content area. Maybe your unit is focused on science or social studies and you're integrating your curriculum a bit. This activity here has you create a text set that you could use for this thematic unit. Okay, and so a document here that I've attached that gives you some information on how to create a text set. And then you can create this text set based on that grade level content area. You're going to identify your anchor text, which is your base and your core text, and then you'll have a handful of related texts that you will use. Okay, so follow through. You've got a grid right there, and you can put your information right in there as you go through and create that text set. Now, you can have texts that are physical texts. You can also use web resources as long as they're matching along with your objective in the grade level. Just make sure that you have a good variety of texts within your text set so that, for example, they aren't all poems or they aren't all websites. You want to have a mixture of genres there for your students to work with on that specific content area. Okay. All right, so that is your, let me stop sharing in here. That's your project for Module 9. You've got your discussion board and your chapter quiz. Certainly let me know if you have any questions, and keep up the great work. You're getting real close to the end, and I'm proud of all the work that you've done so far.